Park on this Friday night. We're almost set to go for the start of the Go-Ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship for 2021. The first of our doubleheader here tonight live on Dubs TV is the meeting of Fianna and Whitehall Colmcille in Group 1. We're almost set to go, as I say, for throw-in here at 6:30. Very pleasant evening indeed for football as these two sides get their championship campaigns up and running. We'll start with the Fianna team. We're told that both teams, these are the sides that they have listed in the programme. Fianna lining out with Johnny Cooper on the edge of the square wearing number 3, hoping to continue their good form from their league campaign. Conor McHugh was in good form for them throughout the course of the year so far, and he starts tonight at number 10. As for Whitehall Colmcille, will they be turning to Cormac Costello on the 40 for a big display tonight? They've also got some big physical players around the park, including their midfield pairing of Sean Foran and Dara Gray, who start in the centre of the field this evening. So as I say, very pleasant night for football. Delighted to say alongside us on co-commentary tonight is Coleman Goggins. And Coleman, the start of another championship campaign. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, great to be back in Parnell for Club Championship. It doesn't be long coming back around again after Dublin's loss in the senior inter-county competition. The Fianna obviously come into the game as red hot favourites. They've had a successful league campaign, being crowned league champions as they were in the hurling as well, so probably a dual aspect to their game, as there is with Whitehall. I think Anthony Holly, who's with the Whitehall senior team there, referenced that there's 12 guys who are dual players with them, so they probably have a bit of a difficulty in having guys together for that bit of consistency. That said, they're a young side. They probably go into the game certainly as underdogs and probably have nothing to lose in some respects, so they'll probably go after the Fianna early on. The Fianna probably have that bit of expectation sitting on them, maybe coming into the game in the back of their league performance. So while they're expected to win, sometimes it doesn't play out like that, and I expect Whitehall to probably get stuck into them early on and see how it plays out from there for them. Yeah, you mentioned the word expectation. I suppose Fianna, on the back of that league campaign, they'll have aspirations of going very, very deep in this competition and perhaps even being title contenders. Yeah, they were hugely successful underage. They won a number of underage championships there a number of years ago, and that age group is starting to come through now and mature and get that little bit older and a little bit wiser. So interesting to see if they can fulfil that potential from underage through. Not always the case, as we've seen at both inter-county and club level. So they will expect or hope to be there or thereabouts when it comes to the shake-up later on into the winter. But they have to get off to a good start today. They have to get a couple of points early on in terms of a performance and a championship win to try and set the stall out as to how they hope to progress throughout the season. Yes, indeed. And Ballyboden, St Enda's and Raheny, the other two sides in this group, they play on Sunday afternoon. Our match referee is Darren Delaney, and he gets us underway at Parnell Park. Fianna playing from left to right in this opening half. Good hands initially from James Doran, who starts in the middle and sends a long ball forward, and this might open up for Fianna right off the bat. David Quinn going in there. Good defending eventually from Whitehall Colmcille to gain control of possession with their corner back Sean Giles doing well now, getting it back as far as his goalkeeper Stephen Lawless, and they're trying to just work this one out now. But good start from Fianna. We can see one late change for Fianna. Owen O'D has started in the half back line here on this near side as we watch on as Whitehall Colmcille come onto possession. Owen Merchant has also started for Fianna. No surprise there, you would think, as the ball now with Whitehall in the centre of the field. Good work and coming up on this left hand side. Tony O'Sullivan now bringing them on a first attack. They've got the advantage here, about 40 yards from goal. It's brought back for the advantage, and Cormac Costello with ball in hand. Yeah, sorry, I might have given you a wrong steer call. It looks like Owen Merchant has started, not Owen O'D. Yeah, lively enough start. Fianna almost in for a goal chance early on. And here's Whitehall with the first shot in there. That one sent in by Lee Gannon, but straight into the arms of Stephen Murray, and away come Fianna early on now. Back in their own backline, some players back in their own defence getting a first touch of the night, working this ball out methodically through the hands, and now it finds its way towards David Lacey. On they go towards that middle sector with James Doran out. Now first time ball forward, lots of space inside on that full back line. Good defence from Whitehall, and Matt Moran getting out in front with a foot to force that out for a line ball. Yeah, I'm not making excuses there in terms of the forward winning the ball, but the grass is thick, the ground is a bit slow, so the ball going in there just slowed up before Conor McHugh came out to it, gave full-back a chance to get a boot on it. Interesting that Lee Gannon is sitting back a little bit, playing almost as a sweeper in front of the full-back line, a guy who's obviously been accustomed to playing defensively for Dublin in Championship underage recently, so expect to see him springing a couple of attacks. Here come Fianna now. Down that left hand side this time, another long ball in, and this is well gathered inside, and there's a player on the overlap too had Fianna opted to use. Instead it works its way as far as Niall McGovern coming in, thought about goal perhaps, instead pops it over with the left boot and they're off the mark. Yeah, certainly a half chance for a goal there. A good movement there. Dara Kennedy first made a burst that created a little bit of space, and then it was McGovern coming through who picked up the pass to slot it over the bar. And Fianna looked very comfortable up front, very comfortable on the ball in terms of their movement. And despite Whitehall dropping guys behind the ball, probably need to just press a little bit harder on the Fianna attackers.
Well, they go short with the kick out Whitehall, and away they go with possession on the far side of the park, gathered by Dara Gray. Big imposing player in the centre of the field, partnering Sean Foran there tonight, as the ball now still inside their own half. Whitehall, Fianna happy enough to let the men in red and white take control of possession right there, and now they filter players back. Fianna inside their own 65 metre line. Gray with another touch in this attack, off as far as Lee Gannon now, down that far sideline, all the way back there defending. David Quinn has number 15 on his back as he tries to apply some pressure. Whitehall now looking to get a shot away. It's the corner back, Sean Giles, with the effort, and that's a fine kick. And the Whitehall supporters like that one. Good score, and we're all square.
Yeah, great score. Always good when a corner back can come up and add on to a tally there. One of my personal favourites. If you're stuck in the corner and can get a score, you're clearly good at your game. Well worked by Whitehall that time. They're sitting back a little bit, trying to play that extra man, put a bit of pressure on Fianna. Well kept in.
That ball was very well kept in by Adam Rafter. Go on ahead, Coleman.
Yeah, and I guess what they're doing then is they're trying to support them when they do. It's almost like a counter-attack, and it's working quite well for them so far.
John Kelly for Fianna now goes with the foot pass forward, looking to get the ball forward as quickly as they can. Fianna off the shoulder is Dara Kennedy, inserting some pace into this attack, and now Sean Caffrey has some open country over there, being challenged by David Worley. Eventually the foul goes the way of Fianna. Good work from the full forward Caffrey, and wins a free in a very good position.
Yeah, and I was just mentioning that they're doing quite well there. When obviously Lee Gannon is dropping back, it's creating an overlap or an extra defender for Fianna. And Dara Kennedy we've seen a couple of times coming through there on the peel. They're probably just a little bit slow setting up and giving Fianna a chance to hit that 30-40 yard pass into the full forward line. So they'll work through it obviously as the half progresses. But an interesting couple of battles so far.
Point apiece here in Parnell Park. We're still inside the opening 5 minutes as this free sent in, but that has gone to the left and wide. A first wide of the match for Fianna. Disappointing one on that occasion from the centre half forward David Lacey, kicking that one. Kick out now for Whitehall into space on this near side of the field, but that's going to be gobbled up by James Doran, and Doran's going to take a run on this right hand side, being challenged by Josh Thorpe. Hand pass inside looking for Conor McHugh. McHugh shoved in the back as he tried to gather possession, and it's another free in for Fianna.
Yeah, you can see what he's trying to do, prevent obviously him winning the ball, but he just turned his back, very clever type of move that then entices the defender to come into his back there, and should be a kickable score for Conor McHugh. And
this time almost an identical angle, just on the other side of the post from the free they had about 60 seconds ago. Fianna, this time McHugh's going to kick this one with the left boot and strokes that one over the bar. So Fianna move back in front. Conor McHugh with his first point of the night to add to Niall McGovern's opener, and they lead by 2-1 in the Go Ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship underway this evening. We've got another game coming up for you live here on Dubs TV later on as well from a 8:15. That's the meeting of Ballymun Kickhams and Thomas Davis, so stay tuned for that. Meantime, Whitehall in possession. Well, they were, but they've just given a loose hand pass there. It's going to be gathered by David Worley, and trying to take his side forward here. Stopped by a couple of Fianna challenges. Really good pressure high up the park from Fianna. And Whitehall trying to change the angle now as they come out from defence. Dara Gray, a couple of toe to hand and hand pass forward to his midfield partner Sean Foran. Gray has continued his run and finds a pocket of space. Now possibilities here perhaps for Whitehall. Goes with the pass forward into the run there. That's a great bit of play from Whitehall, and now it might open up for Whitehall as they approach on goal. Well, that's a wonderful bit of intuition there from Endo O'Donnell, it looks like, who palmed that one over the defender and continued his run on, and it's ended in a free.
Yeah, and the decision for the referee here is that a black card that'll be offered up here. He was just outside the edge of the square. He was certainly going to pull the trigger for goal if he'd managed to just ride the tackle or get into the square and have a shot off. So it'll be an interesting decision from the referee, but great move with the fist just to move the ball along to create that little bit of extra space for him, and the defender is lucky only to pick up a yellow card in that instance.
Free in for Whitehall to be taken by Cormac Costello. This to level things up here. Interesting opening to this one. Almost 7 minutes gone now, and Costello does the business from 13 yards out, and we're all square once again.
Yeah, and Whitehall will be delighted. I know there's a slight breeze supporting the Fianna as well down the field. It's light, but it might have an impact. But Whitehall will be delighted. They're competing, they're getting chances, and they're getting scores, which is critical.
Eddie Moran gobbles up the break in the centre of the field, and away they go again. Whitehall have their tails up here. He's going to have a go from a long way out. Struck that one nicely, and the umpires consult and say that that's gone straight between the posts. What a score from Eddie Moran. And Whitehall really have the momentum right now.
Yeah, well, they're looking for a little bit of inspiration, and that's a great score. Win the ball middle of the field from the opponent's kick out, drive forward and kick it over the bar. Really great score for Whitehall. And asking a couple of questions on the Fianna early on here.
Chasing back is Cormac Costello, got a hand on Donal Ryan, but away the Fianna come with it now again. Can they respond? They trail by 3 points to 2 inside the opening 10 minutes of this Group 1 encounter. Ball in the arms of Paddy Quinn now, sends it forward as far as Donal Ryan. Back to the midfielder Quinn once again. Ryan has continued his run, so too has Quinn, but Ryan hanging on to it, as Coleman says. Probably a slight breeze in favour of Na Fianna. That's a beautiful ball through, and now the goal chance opens up for Na Fianna. Can they finish it? It's off the underside of the crossbar. Great effort from James Doran. Well, it came from absolutely nothing. Brilliant ball through. He had found a little pocket of space in there, but Whitehall survive.
Yeah, what a pass in. A great move across, created a little bit of space on the 21-yard line. Great pass over the top, gets in around the goal. Defender maybe just got in his eye line as he pulled the trigger, hit the crossbar as a consequence, and the goalkeeper did enough maybe to push him wide. But there are chances there for goals if Na Fianna can move the ball quick enough into that full forward line, but Whitehall have survived. And
they go on the attack now. Whitehall, Cormac Costello, open country here, bottled up by 2 defenders, was going to be in fact, but he's been hauled down before making any further yardage there. And a free in for Whitehall. Well, that could be possibly a 4-point swing. The ball hits the crossbar at one end and Whitehall go down the other, and they've got a very kickable free.
Yeah, and probably a good free if you look at it. Endo O'Donnell was flying past Cormac Costello there, was going to look for a little pass off to his right, but would have probably opened up again towards a goal opportunity. So sometimes it's a good free, and that was certainly a good one to give away given the speed that O'Donnell was coming at.
Let's see, can Costello convert here now outside that 21 metre line? Not the ideal angle for a right-footed kicker, but Costello has kicked one already. This time not the best connection on that, straight under the crossbar, and Stephen Murray gathers that one and sets Na Fianna on the attack once again. Adam Rafter now in possession, and forward they come now. Na Fianna up on this right hand side, but that ball has spilled away, and it's gathered up by Lee Gannon, but then given away again. And Na Fianna have come forward, a couple of turnovers from both teams on that occasion, but eventually it ends up in a Na Fianna free, and this one's probably kickable for Conor McHugh. Just inside that right hand sideline. Has the breeze helping him here to try and float this one over and level things up here at Parnell Park. Interesting opening 10 minutes to this one, as McHugh now has 1 point to his name already. Make that 2. That's a fine kick.
Yeah, lovely score, 35 metres out from goal there. Suits the left footed kicker perfectly. But yeah, as you rightly said, there is a light breeze. You just threw it up into the breeze to make sure it sailed over. But impressed with Whitehall in the first 10 minutes, working the kick out well. Stephen Lawless is doing well with those, so creating opportunities for Whitehall because they're competing for their own kick out.
Dara Gray, very involved so far, the big midfielder for Whitehall. He's cut inside a couple of challenges. That's a good run off the shoulder as well from Lee Gannon. Now going back out the field, Fianna with 14 players back inside their own half of the field almost. Now they push up a little bit on Sean Foran. Foran trying to round the challenge there. Good work from James Doran, who cracked the crossbar a couple of moments ago. Ball all the way back now to Stephen Lawless. Na Fianna happy enough to allow the Whitehall goalkeeper take possession forward here. He's looking for an option, but there's not a whole lot on in front of him, and he's going to keep going on this foray forward. And why not? He's carried this ball a long way, eventually dishes it off as far as Costello, who threads a left-footed ball forward. This one for Johnny Cooper to deal with, but it's bounced over Cooper's head, and then Whitehall profit from that fine kick from Keith Campbell, just snuck inside that left hand upright, and Whitehall move in front again.
Well, what an assist from Stephen Lawless. He's getting his kick out right. He's travelling 50 yards up the field to look for passes to his inside line. Great score by Keith Campbell there off his left foot, but great work from Lawless.
Long ball in now, looking for the full forward once again, just unable to get his outstretched left arm to possession on that occasion. Well, you could see what they were trying to do and finding it over the top. There was an advantage there for Na Fianna as they came out with possession. It's going to be pulled back for that free, but Whitehall really have their tails up at this stage, Coleman.
Yeah, well, they're competing for kickouts both on the Fianna's and then winning their own because they're making enough movements around it. The couple of balls in have certainly caught Na Fianna's full back line out, but they are creating chances. So, attitude sometimes, Na Fianna have showed up obviously as league champions, and I'm not saying they've showed up expecting to win the game, but they certainly come in with an air of confidence on the back of that. Whitehall have approached the game with nothing to lose and just attack it from the get-go, and that's probably what you're seeing play out in the first 10 or 15 minutes here.
Well, Na Fianna with a chance here to level things up with 12 and a half minutes on the watch. Whitehall leading by the odd point in 7, 4-3 as the free sent in. This time a better connection from David Lacey, and this time it's gone between the posts, so we're all square once again.
Yeah, would have been disappointed with his first effort, but very firm strike there to draw the sides level again after about 12 or 13 minutes.
So the kick out from Stephen Lawless. Not a whole lot of wides for either side. Na Fianna just with the one so far. Whitehall with their 4 points from their efforts on goal so far, as Lawless goes long this time towards that stand side of the field over the head of the two competing players and gathered by Na Fianna as they go on the attack once again. Ball in field towards John Kelly, being challenged by Endo O'Donnell, but Na Fianna retaining possession. Then there's a foul on the full forward Sean Caffrey. Still a long way from goal as Whitehall setting up this defensive structure now. They've got a sweeper back there just sitting on the 21 metre line at the moment, Lee Gannon, as Na Fianna now trying to come in from that wide area. Shot sent in. They like the look of that one, Na Fianna, and why not? That's gone straight between the posts. That's a fine kick from their corner forward James Doran.
Yeah, great score from James Doran. I was just going to say they're 15 minutes in and they'd only the 1 point from play, which they got after only 3 minutes there, but Doran is after answering there with a great score. Well worked down the left hand side by Na Fianna.
So they lead by 1, 5 points to 4 to Na Fianna. Inside the opening half now, we've got 14 minutes on the watch. The water break approaching as Whitehall coming away with possession, and in open country is Josh Thorpe, their centre half back. He's taking Sean Caffrey for a run here and plays it to his left hand side towards Costello now. Costello might have goal on the mind here. Well, he certainly went for it, but off the outside of the left boot it goes to the left and wide, but he was certainly going for the juggler there.
Yeah, and when they've got those couple of chances, O'Donnell, Cormac Costello, when he was fouled that time, had O'Donnell with him again, and then his third chance there, so they definitely see opportunities for goals. They obviously need to stick one in the net, but they're trying to create something from that.
Kick out for Na Fianna now, leading by 5 points to 4. Going short as Whitehall trying to apply some pressure high up the field. John Kelly, the man on that occasion to come on to possession. Na Fianna, of course, with big ambitions this year, having won that league title, as Coleman refers to. 5-time winners of this competition. Their last all the way back in 2001 as they send the ball forward. This should be Whitehall's to tidy up, and it's good authoritative defending from their full back Matt Moran, who's continued his run here now to set up an attack. Sends the hand pass forward as far as Costello, being shepherded by that's their centre half back Donal Ryan in the early stages. Approaching from this left hand side, Josh Bridgman cuts inside the challenge, then just bottled up by 3 Na Fianna defenders, and John Kelly the man to come away with it. Doran now going on the attack, trying to link things up here, and very open now for Doran to take this one forward. Speeding off the shoulder is Merchant, and now Na Fianna looking a bit more fluid in this particular attack. That's a good kick, and that's a good score from their centre half forward David Lacey. Well worked point.
Yeah, that's a great score, and probably the thing that stands out there is just the pace of that movement. You had Doran in the move, you had Merchant in the move, the ball was flicked on to Lacey then, who puts it over the bar, but it was that injection of pace across the pitch there that created the scoring opportunity. And if there's a significant or a difference between the two sides, it's when Na Fianna inject the pace, certainly everything opens up for them. And not that Whitehall don't have the pace, but certainly that's where the opportunity rests with Na Fianna. So we're at the water break here in the opening half, the Go Ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship opener in Group 1. It's Na Fianna leading Whitehall by 6 points to 4. Whitehall taking the early advantage. They led on a couple of occasions by they got the opening couple of scores of the game. As we watch back some of the highlights of that opening 15 minutes or so, but Coleman, that's a very entertaining opening quarter. Yeah, absolutely. I expected Whitehall to come early and hard at Na Fianna, and that's what they've done. They created chances. They've had one or two, certainly half goal opportunities, as have Na Fianna, so it's a very open game. But the difference, I suppose, at this level is pace, and when you're able to add pace into a move, it just creates so much. When you're able to hit the line at that speed that maybe others don't have, that's where you can start to create chances. And again, look at that, brilliant, but the pace again takes them away from him. is definitely outside, and the foul, when you look at it there, was definitely a yellow card as opposed to a black, that just the contact brought him to ground rather than he pulled down or anything specific along those lines. But some great scores in the opening quarter there, particularly in the last couple of minutes for Na Fianna, where they've started to inject pace into the game and be a little bit more livelier.
Yeah, so 6 points to 4 the margin as the teams re-emerge here now for the remainder of this first half. Of course, Na Fianna cracking the ball off the underside of the crossbar as well in that first 15 minutes. James Doran, the man in on goal on that occasion, as we get set for play to resume now, with the kick out from Whitehall away to our right hand side, to be taken by Stephen Lawless. As Coleman says, he's got them away pretty well so far. Gray making a dash towards the far sideline here to try and get on possession. This one's going to hang up in the air and gathered by Niall McGovern, and now forward to James Doran. Doran has picked up some really good positions in this first half, and he looks for a score here off the left, and he's done just that. And Na Fianna now just starting to open up a little bit of daylight. They lead by 7 points to 4.
Yeah, I think we put the commentator's curse on the kick out there. Call with Stephen Lawless just went wrong on him, but again, the speed and the transition, they win the ball in the middle of the field, ball to Doran, and he just takes away and so elegantly, I suppose, pops it over the bar that time.
That's the last 4 points of the match now in favour of Na Fianna, and they go looking for a fifth on the trot here now. Hitting the deck is David Quinn. He certainly saw space in around the defender on that occasion and was going right for it. He's been hauled down before he made any more progress, but a good opportunity here to kick another point for David Lacey.
Yeah, and again, when they're one-on-one like that, they're backing themselves to take on their defender, and as such then trying to create goal chances on the back of that. They probably don't need to hit a goal so early. They could continue trying to pop balls over the bar, but certainly when they have those opportunities, they're going for trying to take on the defender one-on-one and then trying to create a goal opportunity. And certainly in the last 4 or 5 minutes there's been an injection in pace and effort from the Na Fianna guys, and that's clear to see.
There's a yellow card flash there in the direction of David Worley, the corner back, for that infringement, as the free now to be taken by David Lacey. Has kicked 2 points already. Had a chance too from a similar angle here that went to the left and wide this time. Well, it's gone to the left and wide again. Second wide of the opening half for Na Fianna. Lacey will be just disappointed with that.
Yeah, 2 poor kicks. You're kind of banking on free takers, particularly as the championship gets to the latter stages, so this is a good opportunity to try and get your eye in a championship game, so he'll be disappointed not to have scored those couple of efforts. Kick
out goes short towards Lee Gannon. Tries to play a ball down the line looking for Enda O'Donnell, but instead it's won by John Kelly, who's been on plenty of balls so far for Na Fianna. Now with Alistair Fitzgerald going long again, this time up into the air, 1 to compete for. It's 1-on-1 inside, and it's well gathered by Sean Caffrey. Well, there was 3-4 defenders coming in around to surround him had he not claimed that mark, but he's got the mark, and surely a point here now for Na Fianna. And over it goes, and the Route 1 ball working to good effect on that occasion.
Yeah, that was a great take, because he had made a little move out in front of the defender and the pass coming in wasn't particularly good, but he managed to readjust his feet and get up and win a great mark and add another score there. It leaves only David Quinn without a score across the Na Fianna forward line, and he's obviously helping out defensively at times too, so quite impressive from Na Fianna so far.
And Na Fianna going on the hunt again for another score. Whitehall looking a little bit open here. Now it's going to open up for Merchant for the goal chance. Oh, it's off the post and away it goes. Well, he struck it brilliantly, didn't he? But it's just off the outside of the right hand upright. It's still there for Na Fianna to try and come away with the score. They've hit the crossbar, they've hit the post now. It's come out to McHugh with the left boot, and that's a gorgeous strike from Conor McHugh. His 3rd point of the match. They get a point, but it could so easily have been a goal.
Yeah, again, what great movement through the hands there, looking for the right guy just inside a bit of space. Merchant unlucky to hit the post, but the ball comes back out and they work it again for McHugh to throw it over the bar. But again, it's just that quick thought, guys getting into space and creating that extra pass and really asking hard questions of the Whitehall back 6 there at the moment.
9 points to 4 now to Na Fianna. They've kicked the last 6 points on the bounce as Lawless's kick out this time goes long. Great take in the centre of the field by Doran for Na Fianna, and just Whitehall struggling to get out of their own half right now. Here's a diagonal ball. They're playing with a bit of a swagger now, Na Fianna. That's well gathered by Dara Kennedy, and he senses goal is on here instead. No option across the square. Fist that one over the bar with the edge of the post.
Yeah, but what a score, but what a pass in from Doran. He was playing particularly well in the opening half here. A couple of scores himself, but what a pass outside of the boot. He finds Kennedy inside the 14-yard line. People were probably expecting him to take a mark, but as any good cornerback could do, take it on when you have the chance, and then he fists it over the bar. So good score for Na Fianna.
6 points the margin now. Na Fianna leading by 10 points to 4. 22 minutes now gone, including the water break in this first half. A little bit of a stoppage here with some jostling going on. Very interesting setup here from Whitehall. They've got all their players lined up almost in line with the black spot on the crossbar, now breaking towards the spaces on the wings as they try and regain possession from their own kick out. Ball high up into the sky, one for Gray to compete for. That's a great take from Gray as well, an important one too. They need to get up the field now, Whitehall. And Gray's going to be allowed to bring this one forward too. It's going to be a free to be taken by Lee Gannon. Now, can he pick out a player in red and white? He tries to find Cormac Costello. Costello does well under pressure to gather possession, and he goes with the boot down into that right hand corner, but that's asking a lot of Keith Campbell, and out it goes for a line ball.
Yeah, just that little bit of space they were managing to create in the first 10 or 12 minutes doesn't seem to be falling their way. Looks like the linesman is giving a line ball rather than a wide ball, so it'll be a kick from the sideline. All
the way down in the corner. It's going to go back to the goalkeeper, Stephen Murray, offering himself as an option now as Na Fianna now building from the back. Forward to Niall McGovern. Costello trying to apply the pressure. Coming deep too is Josh Bridgman. Now it works its way towards Paddy Quinn. Has support from Adam Rafter on this right hand side, and Na Fianna really moving the ball nicely now. They've found their stride. Alistair Fitzgerald just sees his progress halted, has to turn back and finds Paddy Quinn now again. Whitehall still applying pressure, trying to win possession back, but Na Fianna retaining it pretty well. Now back to Merchant again, who cracked the post a couple of minutes ago. Off to David Lacey. Now can Na Fianna find a pocket to try and engineer a score in this attack? It's all very congested back there. 14 Whitehall players inside their own 45 right now. It's with Rafter once more, goes past the challenge, and now it opens up for the cornerback. Thought about the shot, instead looks for the player on the loop. That player is Sean Caffrey. Caffrey opts against the shot himself, and now can they find a shot? Well, they've been very patient in the build-up, and that's a wonderful kick and a wonderfully worked scored from Na Fianna. James Doran finishes off the move. Very, very patient build-up, and it ends with a point.
Yeah, I guess why Na Fianna have been successful in the league and are league champions is that depth in their attack. There's guys comfortable to take on shots, take an extra touch of the ball and trying to create all the time, so they're not being forced to go down one particular player or two options. They have plenty of options around their attacking six where they're able to hold on to the ball and pass it on again. There was probably 3 occasions where somebody could have shot before they gave it to the right guy, James Doran coming on the peel, and he scored 3 great scores in the first half here.
So Whitehall trailing now by 7. It's Na Fianna 11 points to 4 in front as half time comes into view here on this Friday night at Parnell Park. We're live on Dubs TV for this opening round clash in the go-ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship, as Whitehall now in space with Lee Gannon. Gannon going forward. They have the advantage too. Darren Delaney spotting a foul off the ball, and that might be just a little bit of a lifeline here for Whitehall to try and get a score.
Yeah, I think Don Ryan was holding on to Cormac Costello's jersey there, just trying to prevent him, get away from him there. As such gives them an opportunity from a free, but they're almost 12 minutes without a score, so an important kick. He dropped one short into the goalie's hands a little while back, so I'll be hoping he can add a score onto the board here, because it's important for Whitehall just to hang in. Na Fianna have gone 7-8 scores without a reply, so important that they get a score just to try and stop that run that Na Fianna have at the moment.
Yeah, it's been 8 on the bounce for Na Fianna as Costello goes from the ground, this time low trajectory, but he's found the target. Big score, you feel, for Whitehall here. Costello kicks their 5th point of the match, and they close the gap ever so slightly now. Na Fianna leading by 6, 11 points to 5.
Yeah, important score, and that it just stops Na Fianna running away from them a little bit. Need to work a little bit harder and try and add another score.
That's an interesting battle developing there between Conor McHugh and Matt Moore, and this time McHugh manages to hang on to possession, and now Dara Kennedy, he's found a couple of pockets of space in this right hand side, has a point already to his name. Now out on the loop is David Lacey. Lacey from an acute angle tries to stroke it over with the right boot, and he's done just that. Nice score again. Dara Kennedy wearing number 2, but he's popping up all over.
Yeah, and we mentioned that because of the fact that there's an extra player back for Whitehall in Lee Gannon, they've just rejigged the defence, so it's allowed Dara Kennedy that little bit of freedom, and he's been a constant thorn in Whitehall's side throughout the first half. creating space, creating an opportunity for guys to give him a pass, and as such then he's given space to the attacking six to get those scores.
Great take in the centre of the field once again from James Doran. Well, he's had a wonderful first half as Na Fianna now looking for another score. This time it's David Quinn having a go with the left boot, and well, they're scoring at will right now. Are Na Fianna. Quinn with their 13th point of the match, and they lead now by 8, 13 points to 5.
Yeah, and that's the full attack who've scored in this opening half here, and only Sean Caffrey with a mark. I think all the rest have managed from play, so that just shows you that the strength that they have up front and why they're putting themselves in a position for a good run at the Dublin Championship this year.
Kick out drilled down the centre of the field. This time it's won by the other number 13, Lee Gannon, in red and white now as Whitehall go on the attack, looking to make an incision here. They go forward with Endo O'Donnell. O'Donnell though well dispossessed by Na Fianna, and away goes Johnny Cooper down the centre of the field on a first foray forward. Cooper with the boot dishes it out to that left hand side. David Quinn is out in front of the challenge of David Worley, now looking to cut inside. Quinn with the last point of the match from this angle. He's looking for another here perhaps as he goes to try and dish this one off. He certainly has, and the shot sent in and the shot sent over the bar, and Na Fianna move on to 14 points. Conor McHugh on that occasion, it looks like, who's kicked yet another point.
Yeah, great score from Conor McHugh. That score came from Niall McGovern's work. He would have played defensively for Na Fianna in the past. He's now playing in a different role for them in the half forward line, but he worked himself back there to get a turnover off O'Donnell, spins the ball around, a couple of passes out, one from Johnny Cooper and then on to McHugh, and that's a great score. It's that hard work, tracking back, getting a turnover that allows the forwards then to click on a score, which is a double boost for the team.
14 points to 5 now in favour of Na Fianna, approaching half time here at Parnell Park. 90 seconds to go plus added time as Whitehall now transitioning from defence to attack. That's a big hit on Endo O'Donnell as he took the ball forward, still has possession, plays it back out as far as Keith Campbell. Campbell looking to play that one forward, but he's been half blocked down as he tried to do so, and Na Fianna defending well and winning the turnover once more. They've got a free.
Yeah, tough for Whitehall now. They just can't get hands on the ball. Na Fianna are dominating throughout, so that it causes a bit of frustration, a bit of angst, because you're trying to work so hard just to create something for the team, and there's anxiety or frustration that grows with that, and it's hard to put a stop on Na Fianna because they're just moving so freely at the moment. That's
a well measured ball towards Paddy Quinn. They're moving it very, very nicely, Na Fianna. Good tackle, however, on the centre half forward David Lacey, and Whitehall now will try and build an attack from that good defensive work. The ball in the arms of Sean Foran, still just inside his own half. That spills away from Costello as he tries to gather it at the first time of asking, then does very, very well to flick that one up off the ground, and away he goes, the centre half forward Costello, looking to go at the challenge of Merchant there. Still has possession. Costello needs support and has found support inside, and now possibilities here perhaps for Whitehall up to the edge of the square. Well, they've gone down. Endo O'Donnell again approaching the edge of the square, this time right on the whitewash, and a free in is the end result.
Yeah, probably a bit fortunate to get the free because it looked like the guys had crowded around him rather than actually a bad tackle on him. But great work from Cormac Costello, first with his pick up, but the little pass through that freed up O'Donnell and created the space for him. He got in front of the goal. He was looking obviously to pull the trigger and try and get a goal for Whitehall, but he was swallowed up by 2 or 3 Na Fianna defenders. Referee deemed it a free and a chance for Costello to tag on it with a score.
So an opportunity to cut the gap to 8 points for Costello just on the edge of the square. Meantime, there's a player receiving some attention for Na Fianna over there on the far side of the field as we approach half time. We can feel that little bit of a breeze up here coming, and maybe it's more significant than we can perhaps down on the playing field than it is up here at our commentary position, but there certainly is a breeze in favour of Na Fianna in this first half.
There definitely is. It'll aid Whitehall in the second half, but they'll have to get hands on the ball to try and create scoring opportunities, and because of the way Na Fianna are being so dominant both on their own kick out and when they have the ball, and how economical they are in possession, it's a big gap for them to cut in throughout the second half, even with that little bit of a wind advantage, and you'd fancy Na Fianna with the pace they have to be able to run hard at Whitehall in the second half as well. So it'll certainly give them a lift, as will that score from Costello, but there's a big gap there for them that they'll have to cut, and they will need a goal to try and do that in some shape or form.
Yeah, 8 points the margin now, 14 points to 6 in favour of Na Fianna as the ball goes straight down the middle of the park, and this might just work out for Na Fianna. Lovely flick forward from Paddy Quinn, and now it's found its way towards David Lacey. Lacey has given this one plenty of airtime. Will it squeeze inside that left hand post? No, it won't. It's gone out to the left and wide, but a lot of yardage on the kick out from Stephen Murray, which opened it up.
Yeah, and probably the first time you'd say that maybe it was the wrong decision from one of the Fianna forwards. There was plenty of movement inside him. There was probably a pass over the top there that would have made the score a little bit easier. He decided to take a shot from a fair distance out. Certainly there's an advantage behind him in terms of that wind we've spoken about, but maybe just the wrong option that time.
Good run from Dara Gray towards that stand sideline, wins possession but then gives it straight back towards Conor McHugh, and now Na Fianna searching for that goal here perhaps. Well, they're going to settle for the point, and it's that man again, James Doran. Well, he's had a very, very impressive first half and he kicks Na Fianna's 15th point. They lead by 15 points to 6.
Yeah, and his fourth from play really great first half from him. He's looking to get on the end of moves. He's competing out around the middle of the field, picking up Dara Gray, looking to try and win those kickouts as well. So not only is he doing that job in the middle, he's then supporting the attack as well, and kicked 4 great scores throughout this first half.
And I think that's going to be all the action from the opening period here at Parnell Park in this Go Ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship encounter. Na Fianna well in control now at half time. They lead by 15 points to 6. Probably a fair reflection on the opening half, but they really turned on the style since the second half water break. They reeled off 8 points in a row at one stage before Cormac Costello stopped the rot, but then they've got 4-1 since Costello kicked that 5th point of the evening for Whitehall. Whitehall had made an encouraging start and led by a point on a couple of occasions in the early stages, but Coleman at half time, Na Fianna certainly in control of this one.
Yeah, and the first quarter probably played out a little bit as we spoke about, in that there was opportunities for Whitehall. They were trying to break through past that Na Fianna full back line. They were asking a couple of questions, but as Na Fianna grew into the game, you could start to see their the depth, as I've mentioned, in that attack, where they can move the ball between the front six. They're happy enough to pass it on to the next guy to take a shot, and as I mentioned, they're not reliant on just one guy to get scores. That front six are all adept at taking scores. On the flip side, Whitehall are probably reliant on Cormac Costello not only in winning frees but kicking scores from play. He's managed 3 frees in the first half, but a couple of defenders have tagged on scores there, so their attack doesn't have that same potency that Na Fianna have. And as such, and particularly in that second quarter of the first half, when they started putting press on Lawless's kick out, the turnovers that they won, that fluidity in their attack allowed them to tag on those 8 scores in the trot, which has left a gap, I won't say insurmountable for Whitehall, but it's going to be a big ask in this second half to try and close it down. Yeah,
as we watch some of the highlights from the opening half here at Parnell Park, the gap is 9 at the break. As you mentioned, Whitehall had some positive flashes in that first half. Did they show enough for you, Coleman, to suggest that they can stage some sort of a comeback here in the second?
Yeah, I don't know if attacking wise they've enough options. They need to get a goal early on just to try and maybe ruffle a bit of doubt into Na Fianna heads, but I think Na Fianna would be comfortable with the way they've played. They probably feel there's room for improvement. Whitehall need to try and free up Cormac Costello. Obviously Lee Gannon offers so much in terms of his pace and his athletic ability, and because he's sitting back a little bit, maybe we're not seeing as much of that, and they probably need to try and get him on the ball a little bit. But Na Fianna are probably that little bit more mobile in around that middle 8, and they're able to, Dara Kennedy we've seen supporting the attack, we've seen Niall McGovern dropping in and helping out as well there, so there's lots of guys able to chop in and chop out, and Whitehall maybe just don't have that same level of movement and fluidity in their front 6 certainly, and then out around that middle 8 where the hard questions are asked really, particularly throughout the second half, when they'll have to try and dig in a little bit more.
Are Na Fianna happy with their first half performance, or is there more in them, do you think?
Yeah, I'd say the first 15 minutes there'll probably be some I won't say questions around it, but they'd probably be disappointed with how they maybe started. They probably left Whitehall a few opportunities to get into the game. They were quite comfortable, Whitehall, in creating some chances. I think in the second 15, after the water break in particular, while they'd started to build a bit of momentum, they drove on from that. They obviously chatted at water break and said, look, let's try and inject a bit of pace, and that was hugely evident. You've seen the likes of Merchant coming into the attack. James Doran certainly added a little bit more pace to it. Conor McHugh kicked a couple of scores, and they've also kicked a couple of bad frees wide as well, so they could be further in front, which makes it very difficult task for Whitehall in the second half. So they'll be absolutely happy, delighted that they're 9 points in front at half time, but there's probably elements of their performance they'll look to try and improve across the second half.
OK, Coleman, thank you indeed for the moment. We'll be back with full second half coverage very shortly indeed here on Dubs TV from Parnell Park, but at half time it's Na Fianna leading Whitehall. Na Fianna 15 points, Whitehall 6 points. You're very welcome back, folks, for the second half of the go-ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship clash between Fianna and Whitehall Colmcille. We've got 30 minutes left to go of this one. Fianna in control. They lead by 15 points to 6 after the opening half. The lights now on here at Parnell Park as the evening closes in, although the conditions still very, very favourable indeed for this match, as our match referee Darren Delaney just making sure that everything's in order before the play gets back underway. Matt Moran has made his way forward for Whitehall into the centre of the field and touches that one down as far as Dara Gray. One change for Fianna we can spot already is Dean Ryan in wearing number 25. Gray hand pass down this right hand side looking for Cormac Costello. Does well to keep that one in. Has Donal Ryan for company. Costello now with just being forced out over the sideline, but does well to keep it in play, and that's a good turn from Josh Bridgman to try and come in field, but Fianna win yet another turnover inside their own 45, and away goes Adam Rafter now. Merchant now with speed looking to exploit the space in front of him. Merchant, a couple of hops and solos, brings him forward up towards that 21 metre line. Ball in field though is a loose one from Fianna. We haven't seen that on too many occasions in this match tonight, and Whitehall now looking to make the most of that. They go forward with the long ball, but Johnny Cooper read it well. Relentless pace to the early stages of this second half. Ball forward now towards Conor McHugh. Had a very productive opening 30 minutes, looking for a score now again. McHugh fist that one inside. Oh, that's a lovely weighted ball towards Dara Kennedy. Just Whitehall doing enough on that occasion to prevent Kennedy making any further ground, but the free then is eventually awarded to Conor McHugh and brings to an end a very frantic opening 60 seconds or so.
Yeah, and just a little bit of frustration there from Sean Caffrey just in that move with Owen Merchant. He had made a great run out in front of the defender. He's probably looking for Merchant to pass it in, and then when they spun back around, they turned over the ball. Johnny Cooper obviously won it back for Fianna, and while Whitehall were trying to do the right thing and holding out Conor McHugh, just left their arm around him a little bit too long. It gives them a chance from a place ball.
Here's the free from McHugh. Has this one got the yardage? It hasn't. It's dropped into the arms of Stephen Lawless, and Whitehall survive, but they trail by 9 points, 15 points to 6 in favour of Fianna right now at Parnell Park, as Whitehall now coming out in possession up towards the halfway line. That's good work from Josh Thorpe, carrying the ball a long way, and he's won his side a free two on the Fianna 65 to be taken by Sean Foran. Goes short towards Cormac Costello, who's trying to inspire his troops now to a big second half comeback here. Ball to the far side of the field for Whitehall now. They've got that little bit of a breeze at their backs here in the second half. Remember, that's a shot sent in by Josh Bridgman. Decent effort, but it's gone to the left and white.
Yeah, I know there's a bit of a breeze supporting them, but they just need to come back around with that one. They've brought it looks like Sean Foran in front of the goal there, so there's a target man there that maybe if you let the ball into, rather than maybe just being a bit wild with the shooting in the second half. Conor
McHugh's got acres of space here as he gets out in front to win possession. Cuts inside the challenge then as well of Josh Thorpe, and Fianna looking for a score. They had the advantage there momentarily, but opted to play on. McHugh now once again looking for a ball inside. Perhaps on the loop is James Doran. Doran, arguably the player of the match so far. Can he add another score? Well, he's going to lay this one off as far as Alistair Fitzgerald, but Fitzgerald has dragged that one across the face of goal and wide.
Yeah, again, unfortunate with the finish there. There was definitely a score in it for Fianna, but great movement there with the forwards. The way they're shielding their body, or using their body to shield the defender coming out to create that little bit of space for their forwards. James Doran got away that time, worked the ball inside for the scoring opportunity, but just pulled it wide on this far side of the goal. But again, that movement, the pace through the forwards is causing Whitehall a lot of problems, and they just really haven't managed to get to grips with it. And then at the other end, just snatching at their own chances that they're creating at the minute.
Substitute for Whitehall, Adam McDermott is in wearing number 19. Making way is John Bridgman, the corner forward, as the kick out now coming from Stephen Lawless away to our left hand side, as we watch from our commentary position on a very pleasant evening here at Parnell Park. Ball down the centre of the field this time, over the head of everybody, but the foul's been committed by Sean Foran. It's going to be a free for Fianna. Referee just wants it to be taken from the correct place, but after 4 minutes of the second half, it's as you were at half time. Fianna leading by 9. As Merchant now hit the post in the first half with a cracking goal effort with the left boot. Plays it infield towards Fitzgerald once again. He's got his midfield partner running behind him, but instead it's sent inside now. Now the goal opportunity. Can they rattle the net? Well, no, they can't. And Fianna actually put that one wide through David Quinn. Well, that's the third gilt-edged goal opportunity, you could say, they've had tonight, Coleman.
Yeah, and 3 chances even in terms of points at the start of the second half here. They've dropped one short into goalie and a couple wide, but in terms of the movement there from David Quinn, he started out here from almost in the corner flag and worked his way all the way across the goal. So it was a great movement, great pass in, but just when the chance presented, when you expected a cooler head, he just snatched at it and obviously stuck another wide rather than a goal chance.
Lee Gannon doing very, very well indeed there. Wasted no time in getting the ball forward either towards Gray, and now it's Cormac Costello again. He's got Donal Ryan right there. Costello with an ambitious effort on this right hand side. That's gone out to the right and wide.
Yeah, great defender from Donal Ryan. It's obviously that Cormac Costello was just trying to create a little bit of space for him, but such a strong defender, such a strong player, Donal Ryan, that Costello was unable to get away from him and just ended up being drifting maybe too far out on the right. Obviously he's unhappy as well with maybe that effort and with the referee, and is probably going to earn himself an entry into the referee's notebook here.
Yeah, he's certainly being spoken to. Some jostling going on off the ball there as well too. The yellow card has been flashed in the direction of David Lacey, Cormac Costello rather, the second Whitehall player into the book after David Worley went in earlier on in the match. Derek Kennedy in the book from an Fianna point of view, as free is one on the far side by Whitehall, and a chance here for an opening point. It's been a pretty scrappy opening to the second half.
Yeah, again the Fianna have created the chances, but probably foot off the gas a little bit. You're 9 points up at half time, you're in cruise control a little bit, and maybe that's just reflected in some of the chances they've taken. Whitehall, on the other hand, a bit like the first half, in the second quarter, they just don't have that depth in attack that Fianna have. Derek Kennedy obviously picked up a bang in the back on the kick out there, but it's probably just a case of having stepped back a little bit, having delivered for 10 or 15 minutes in that second quarter of the first half.
David Lacey has been withdrawn by Fianna. They've made a substitute early in the second half as the free sent in now by Costello. That's a good strike with the right boot, and they're up and running in the second half. Whitehall cutting the gap ever so slightly, 15 points to 7 now the margin. 6 minutes gone in the second half.
And not a bad replacement for David Lacey in Aaron Byrne there. It's not like you're losing anything in your attack by bringing him into the game.
Kick out over to the far side of the field for Fianna, well taken in the middle of the park as well, and away they go on the attack once again. When they get the ball in hand, they're really driving at every opening. That was Donal Ryan on that occasion. Now it's Paddy Quinn forced back towards his own goal and looking for an option here. Eventually finds one in the form of David Quinn, looking to round the challenge of Sean Giles, finding that difficult, but now he finds a space and now trying to pick a pass forward. That's a lovely weighted ball in towards Conor McHugh, who's picked up the mark too. Good work from Quinn.
Yeah, great work, but really strong work from Donal Ryan on the far side. Wins the kick out and shrugs off the Whitehall midfielder who's beside him and comes across the field then. Nice little ball in from Quinn to Conor McHugh to give him a chance from a mark.
And McHugh kicking that one left footed, well, just about having the required yardage on that occasion, and over it goes with the help of the crossbar. And the gap now back to 9 points, 16 points to 7. That's their first point of the second half, Fianna, as we edge towards the 10th minute mark. Another sub going to be introduced here for Whitehall as they try and run the bench here now to inject a little bit of life into proceedings for them in this second half. And the player introduced is Hugh McInerney. Big man into the centre of the field, immediately making a dash towards this side of the field for this kick out, as Lawless sizing up the options out in front of him. Goes short, where it's picked up by the cornerback David Worley. Now Whitehall working it up on that stand side where there's a decent smattering of supporters in Parnell Park tonight, enjoying the Friday evening fare, as the free goes the way of Whitehall now. They really do feel like they need a goal here now, you feel, to breathe life into their challenge once again. Ball in the arms of Eddie Moran down this right hand side. This one might just work out for Adam McDermott, but it's got too much pace on it and out behind for a wide ball.
Yeah, ball's just not sticking inside in the full forward line there. They're trying to work little passes in front, but just not managing to get them into hands, and as a consequence then it's running out over the end line, or Fianna are managing to get a turnover. And obviously as the clock ticks down, it becomes more and more difficult to narrow the gap for Whitehall because they just can't get on the balls. Great bit of defending there to win back the ball there off Dean Ryan.
Ball on the far side now for Whitehall as they go on the attack. A little bit of space now out in front of Keith Campbell here, but Johnny Cooper closing down the angle now. He's right at the corner flag, just about on the field of play. And the free has gone in favour of Na Fianna, it looks like. And Johnny Cooper down in that corner. Well, it's gone out for a line ball, in fact. Cross now to John Kelly, all the way across his goal to Adam Rafter. Na Fianna leading by 16 points to 7 here on Dubs TV. We've got Ballymun Kickham's against Thomas Davis coming up for you as well in just under an hour's time at 8:15, as the opening weekend action gets underway in the Go Ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship. Na Fianna on the attack, but that's half blocked down, and Whitehall come away with possession now. Costello in the centre of the field, taking it forward. Hasn't got too many players in red and white in front of him, and that's why he's trying to pop a ball in over the top here for Enda O'Donnell, who's picked up a couple of decent positions in this match. He's going to go in along the end line. Has O'Donnell been fouled? It's a penalty. Well, that's interesting. Just what they needed, you feel, Whitehall. And O'Donnell has got in around on a couple of occasions, and this time he's been fouled, and a potentially big moment here in the second half.
Yeah, certainly he was looking for a penalty, or certainly looking to come inside Owen Merchant. I'm not quite sure if Owen Merchant did foul him, in that there was a coming together and they went to ground, but he was certainly looking to try and create something. He did well to get inside Owen Merchant. Owen Merchant will probably pick up a booking for this as well, but it gives them an opportunity. If Cormac Costello can stick it in the net, it narrows the gap down to 6, and all of a sudden they're back into the game, when for large portions of the last, certainly of this element of the second half and the second quarter of the first half, they really haven't challenged Na Fianna. But great work by O'Donnell to get inside. Merchant referee deems it a penalty and a chance for Costello.
So Costello against Murray. 11 minutes gone now in the second half here at Parnell Park. Whitehall trailing by 9, but this is a big moment in this Group 1 encounter. Costello stepping up, right-footed. Oh, that's a brilliant save by Murray. Got down smartly to his right-hand side. Well struck penalty from Costello, but that's a wonderful save coming.
Yeah, great save. Went low, but the keeper obviously held his ground, watched Costello and got down and pushed it away. Whitehall have won it back here. Yeah,
McInerney's done well, and Costello's there on the loop trying to finish the move with a score, and they've done just that. It's not the goal that they wanted or needed, but it is a point from Cormac Costello, and a good one too, because that was a tight angle. 16 points to 8 now the margin.
Yeah, well, at least they got something out of the opportunity. A keeper made a great save. The ball comes back out. Hugh McInerney manages to turn over, a guy who's been a great servant for Whitehall down through the years. And then Costello pops it over the bar. So obviously disappointed not to net the penalty, but they have managed to get a score out of the play.
Ball has gone short from the kick out to the substitute, Dean Ryan, setting Na Fianna on the attack now. They'll surely get a boost from that wonderful penalty save, but Whitehall have won it back in the middle of the field. Couple of good turnovers from them here now in the second half, but that ball has been kicked forward and cut out by Merchant, who picked up a yellow card, by the way, for that foul, as Coleman says, giving away the penalty on Enda O'Donnell. But that save from Stephen Murray right from the top drawer, as Na Fianna going on the attack with Alistair Fitzgerald now. Has taken this ball a long way, has the space to play it forward. Not quite caught at the first time of asking. In fact, has been touched on the ground as well, as they sent that one forward, and that's allowed Whitehall win possession and a free out. Sean Caffrey, the man on that occasion, trying to gather the ball. Might be just that little bit slippy now with the dew falling on the grass on this September evening, as Whitehall now with Rory Cairns sending a ball forward. Useful ball it is too, into space. Cormac Costello, 2 players watching him back there, but he's gathered possession, dishes it off as far as Matt Moran. Moran's continued his run. Good block down, but it's found its way to Moran again. Determined defending from Johnny Cooper. Here's Whitehall still in possession somehow, but this has been kicked wide by Eddie Moran.
Yeah, great work again there by Johnny Cooper to get a block on. It's just, looking at Na Fianna there in the second quarter of the first half. I think they kicked 9 points after the water break. They've only managed to score 1. They've kicked a couple wide, dropped a couple short into the goalie's hands. Yes, they created a goal opportunity, but they didn't manage to score it. So while Whitehall maybe haven't, clicked up front to the way they would have liked, Na Fianna in this second half have left the door open a little bit for Whitehall. It's just unfortunate maybe from a Whitehall point of view that Costello didn't manage to stick the penalty away, because it would have given them an impetus, would have narrowed the gap a little bit further than they managed with the point. But Na Fianna going into the water break now in the second half, be quite disappointed with the performance, I would imagine, through the second half so far.
Well, they've retained possession from the kick out. A little bit of a stoppage for some treatment on an Na Fianna player, but play back underway as we approach the second half water break. It's been fairly tight since this game has resumed. Just the 3 points for between the sides since then. 2-1 in favour of Whitehall since half time, as John Kelly finding it difficult to get away from the clutches of a couple of Whitehall players. But that's a brilliant ball from Conor McHugh into space to open things up for David Quinn here. Quinn trying to find the run of Dara Kennedy. Kennedy's going to have a scamper after this one and keep it on the field of play. In space is Alistair Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald now coming back out around. Fianna having to be patient here with Whitehall. Very determined in the tackle when they do get hands on the player in possession. Fianna happy enough to come back out now and try and stretch Whitehall. Here's Merchant taking it forward now and dishing it across to John Kelly. Merchant has continued his run, bringing a bit of purpose to this attack. McHugh might be interested in an effort here if he can work a yard or two of space. McHugh adept off both feet as Fianna now make the incision through James Doran. Doran eventually bottled up and tackled, and that's really good work from Whitehall. And it's Matt Moran who got his hands on possession in the end, but Whitehall disciplined in defence on that occasion, and they got the reward.
Yeah, they've been good there. The Fianna have come with a few runners at times there, and they've managed to stand up and deal with all that's been coming at them throughout this second half. The Fianna have probably lost a bit of their shape, discipline in their shape, and they're being very narrow. They're very dragged into the middle of the field, and they haven't left themselves wide. Apart from a couple of times where they've given a crossfield pass, they've really gone fairly straight and narrow in terms of some of their movement, and there's probably opportunity for them to improve on that. Certainly their performance at the end of the first half, building out the lead, has ultimately won them the game, in their mind, I suppose, at this stage. But disappointed from a second half performance that they haven't managed to tag on far more scores than they have so far.
Conor Baxter is in for Fianna. He's come in place of Paddy Quinn. Meantime, possession with Matt Moran of Whitehall. Forward towards Eddie Moran, and bringing the ball infield now, looking for an option here. Costello's in on the edge of the square. Might they try and go route one? Well, Enda O'Donnell is going to gather possession before it goes out over this right hand sideline, as we're into the final quarter now of action in this go ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship Group 1 encounter. Fianna leading by 8. Whitehall in possession. Missed a penalty a couple of minutes ago, remember, with Cormac Costello's effort well saved by Stephen Murray. And might that have been the moment for Whitehall to get themselves back in this game? Well, Costello's trying to win possession. He's engineered himself a free. Well, he was outnumbered 3-1 down there. Ball went over his head, but he was pushed, according to our match referee Darren Delaney, as he went to gather, and a free in.
Yeah, great ball in from Lee Gannon. Cormac Costello went left or went right and then turned and came back across the goal. Certainly got a shove just as he was reaching for the ball. It may have been out of his reach anyway, but the defender probably leaned across him and gives him an opportunity from a place ball. But they're just not creating that same movement inside that's allowing them create scoring opportunities. They haven't delivered a huge amount from play either, just a couple of scores from their front six who've started. And while Costello has been great from the free kicks, just maybe not enough of a challenge to the Fianna defensive line, and they're able to kind of deal with most of the stuff that's come at them.
And Costello, he's popped that one over just with the help of the post, and he's kicked all 3 of the points for Whitehall since half time. Brings their tally to 9. 7 points to margin now, 16 points to 9 in favour of Fianna as we head for the second half water break. 3 points to 1 to Whitehall since half time, Coleman. It's Whitehall have been battling hard, and had they scored that penalty, we could have a real game on our hands, but still they're hanging in there. Yeah,
they're hanging in, and we mentioned that there's a bit of a breeze there, so it's aiding them a little bit in terms of their opportunities. They've only 1 point from play, we'll say, throughout the second half. Here was this gilt-edged goal chance, if you want to call it that Quinn just blazed wide. Maybe just a bit of a lack of composure there when the chance presented. You mentioned that Cormac Costello has kicked all of the Whitehall scores in the second half. Probably the biggest one, or the biggest opportunity he had, was the penalty save that he would have loved to have stuck in the net, because it certainly would have given Whitehall a lift. Good opportunity. We might get to see it a little bit closer here. You can see what O'Donnell's trying to do. He wants to get inside Merchant. He manages to step in. Was there a huge amount of contact there in terms of penalty? To my mind there wasn't. Goalkeeper makes a fantastic save, but the referee gave the penalty, and from a Whitehall point of view, unfortunately they didn't get away with it. Great work by Hugh McInerney. I mentioned he's been a long time on the go with Whitehall. Frees up, wins back a ball and pops it out to Costello, and that was off the save from Lawless, so it was good that they got some return off that. But they really haven't managed to click up front, nor have Fianna, because Whitehall have managed to get numbers behind the ball, stand up, and that type of defending, you can see there's 4 guys there really hungry for the ball. So while they've been trailing by 9 points, they have shut down the gap, and defensively they've been quite strong and haven't allowed Fianna that same freedom that they had in the first half.
So those are the highlights from the opening 15 or 16 minutes of this second half as the players re-emerge now for the final quarter here in the Go-Ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship Group 1. Fianna leading Whitehall by 16 points to 9. By the way, if you want to get in touch tonight, if you're tweeting about the match, you can use the hashtag GoAheadDSF1 to get in touch with us here tonight at Parnell Park as we get back underway. Good kick out from Stephen Murray across to Conor Baxter, who's been introduced wearing number 5. Didn't start this match, but he's in now for the closing stages. And Fianna trying to manage the game now as they look to secure their first win in the first round of this year's campaign, with an eye perhaps on what's to come down the track. A lot of people very, very impressed with their league campaign in winning the title a couple of weeks ago. They have momentum as they go forward with possession now, with Alistair Fitzgerald wins a free in the middle of the field, and Stephen Murray has come a long way out of his goal here to offer himself as an option all the way up to the 45. As Whitehall trying to win possession back with Dara Gray chasing across, but Fianna happy enough just to play keep ball here as they try and draw Whitehall out and prize an opening down the other end. Taking it forward now towards Donal Ryan. Ryan finds the substitute Aaron Byrne off the shoulder, and this is good from Fianna. Now they've worked themselves up the field, and Byrne has found a pocket of space, and perhaps further pass on in towards Dean Ryan if they wanted, but instead Byrne goes for the point. He took a little bit of a knock too as he kicked that one over the bar, but good possession football there on that occasion from Fianna that ends with a point.
Yeah, very clever movement of the ball up through, and up through the field, and then a little bit of injection of pace then creates a little bit of space. In fairness to Aaron Byrne, he was well back the field when he first picked up the ball and continued his run, and when you're not tracking a runner like that, it causes a problem for defenders because they're trying to do a job on their own opposition player or opponent that they're standing with, and then suddenly another one or two guys comes into the picture, and do you stay or do you go? And that then gives that little bit of space to the likes of an Aaron Byrne, and any bit of space there he's going to be able to grab a score. A half chance for goal maybe, but at this stage they probably don't need it, just keep the scoreboard ticking over.
Whitehall player down, receiving some attention. That's Lee Gannon, who's been very involved. It looks like he's going to have to come off. Gannon has put in a big effort. Yeah,
and unfortunate, just as he gave the pass into Cormac Costello, that Costello was fouled for the free, he did reach down as if his hamstring maybe had a slight tweak on it. So he's a huge loss for Whitehall, such an influential player for them.
Fergal Swain is in for the closing stage. That's a great take by Matt Moran in the centre of the field, and Whitehall go on the attack once again, but they trail by 17 points to 9 now. We've got just 10 minutes left to play or thereabouts here at Parnell Park as this ball is going to be floated in around the edge of the square. A couple of Whitehall players in there, including Costello, but that's well defended by Fianna, and back there battling for it, James Doran, who kicked 4 points in the opening half, and now they go on the counter-attack, and they've got pace, they've got runners. Fianna, one of them in possession now. Sean Caffrey turns back towards his own goal now to size up the options in front of him. Almost collides with the referee, but away they go again. Merchant, who was on the attack earlier on this move. Now it's with Caffrey once more, cuts inside the challenger too, looking for the pass off, but very, very good with ball in hands. This is great work from the full forward, then dishes it off as far as McHugh. McHugh will try and finish off the move, but that's out to the left and wide.
Yeah, poor effort. I think the chance was lost. He probably needed to check and come back there, but just prior to that, there was huge pace for Fianna coming out there, and Whitehall did brilliant to get back and stop that because there was such space in front of them in terms of an opportunity to create, but they did very well to deny Fianna that bit of space, and then what they did do was force Conor McHugh wide, as we seen there, and probably needed to check back instead of trying to pull the trigger from a difficult angle there.
A couple of subs being introduced now. Brian O'Leary wearing number 22. Whitehall have also made another sub, and it looks like the number 21, Jordan Leonard, who's in. So both teams running the benches. Whitehall's full forward Keith Campbell making his way off the field there on the far side. This kick out being battled for by Baxter, but it's swept up by Adam McDermott of Whitehall towards O'Donnell now on this right hand side. O'Donnell's going to go for a run against John Kelly, who's pulled up. Looks like he's got a hamstring issue there now as well. He's put the arm up towards the sideline. Meantime, play continues with Costello swinging the left boot at this one. He struck it nicely. Oh, it's clashed off the upright and out it comes, and Adam Rafter there to tidy it up for Fianna. And away they go once again inside their own 45-metre line. Across the field of play towards James Doran. Hasn't found the same scoring opportunities he had in the first in the second half, Doran. Whitehall have turned it over. Here's Costello. And now they open up here. Whitehall, they settle for the point. They're just about keeping in touch. 17 points to 10 now the margin. We've got 8 minutes left to play.
Yeah, but they've been good second half defensively. They've denied Na Fianna. Then from an attacking point of view, they've tried to create opportunities. They've taken on Na Fianna defenders when they've been given the chance. They have outscored them thus far in the half, 4 points to 2. So they're doing what was asked of them. It's just not enough scoring opportunities that they're creating, and therefore the gap has remained pretty much where it was when we had the break at half time.
Eddie Moran, the man to kick that score. Nice point from play, and 7 points to the margin now. Clock coming against Whitehall at this stage, but Na Fianna still hold control of this match as they edge towards the concluding stages. Conor Baxter in possession now. Na Fianna happy enough to keep possession here in this part of the field. Adam Rafter on a foray forward now. Goes around the challenge of Tony O'Sullivan, and now with Donal Ryan. Ryan engaged in a big duel with Cormac Costello throughout this match. There's some more good defending from Whitehall, and they'll be very, very pleased with their defensive effort in the second half, and they'll gain some energy from those turnovers as they look to go forward. But there's not a whole lot on here. Costello's out the field and plays it across to Gray once again, but that's a loose hand pass and gathered by Dean Ryan for Na Fianna. And Whitehall's good work from a defensive point of view undone by turning the ball over themselves as they went on the counter. Here's Ryan again now attacking along this left hand side. And Na Fianna now in possession with David Quinn, the corner forward. Plays it off. And Whitehall again trying to win possession back. But Na Fianna very composed with ball in hand. Here's Merchant once more, receiving that pass from Aaron Byrne. Back to Merchant once more. Byrne drills this one forward with the outside of the boot. That's a great take as well from the substitute, and trying to work his way inside was Brian O'Leary. He's won himself for free. Might have been goal on there had he rounded the challenge. Yeah, and again great movement. What Na Fianna tried to do that time was bring everyone out the field and leaving that pocket of space in behind. O'Leary cut back across to win the pass that came in from the middle of the field there. At times maybe it looks a little bit slow. We've mentioned the wind a couple of times here, and while it's not, doesn't look overly significant, there is a bit of a breeze, and it probably changes the way you think when you're looking to deliver a pass inside. But that time the pass worked well. O'Leary won it very well, and it gives Conor McHugh an opportunity from the free here to add to his tally. Well, David Worley's evening is over. He's been flashed a red card. There was booked earlier on in this match as the free is sent in, but that's one too many fouls, I think, for David Worley, and his evening is over. So Whitehall down to 14 players. Conor McHugh has tapped over the free. So now a man down. Time against them as well. Whitehall, they trail by 8 points now. 18 points to 10. We've got a little less than 5 minutes left to play. They retain possession from their own kick out, Whitehall. But just losing possession there is Fergal Swain, and now Na Fianna can really cap off the result. Here's the goal chance for Quinn, and Quinn has done it. They've finally hit the back of the net, Na Fianna, and it's David Quinn. Finishes well down to that bottom corner from close range, and that you feel is definitely that. Yeah, well, it was probably definitely that a long time ago. They've just finally put the nail in the coffin, I guess. Great pass in again from Aaron Byrne. They're seeing the movement coming across. Quinn checks his run, turns back and sticks it under the keeper. Probably haven't had enough of that movement in the forwards throughout the second half, but they'd be delighted to, certainly be off the board in terms of championship this year. A couple of points on the board and a relatively good performance to see them over the line here. So 3 minutes left to play here at Parnell Park. It's Na Fianna now leading by 118 to 10 points. David Quinn's goal capping off their performance right now. As we head into the final moments here, Cormac Costello sending it forward for Whitehall as they look to make an instant response here. But this shot's going to fall, well, in fact it's gone wide. Goalkeeper catching that one as across the whitewash. But Whitehall were just about staying in touch in the second half, but the goal now has really put daylight between the teams as Na Fianna now can set themselves up for further matches down the line in this group against Ballybowden, St Enda's and Raheny. Very interesting looking group this one, but Na Fianna are going to get off to a winning start, and they're going in search of another score or two here before the final whistle sounds. Here's the goal scorer Quinn, ball down into the corner. Well gathered down there by the substitute Brian O'Leary, looking to round the challenger too. Here's Byrne now. Byrne looking to go on the left, very tight angle here, and he's just pulled it across the face of goal and wide.
Yeah, again, great move from O'Leary. We've seen him earlier on there win the ball. That was a free for Conor McHugh when there was a half chance for a goal. It ultimately ended in David Worley getting a second yellow card. And again, his movement there was very good. At times, Fianna just holding on to the ball out around the 45-50 metre line a tad too long, and guys are making run and then being swallowed up again. And if they can, work on that over the next couple of weeks and just free the ball up a little bit earlier, there's certainly scoring opportunities across, their starting six, but also the guys who brought in O'Leary and Byrne as well, who have significant experience too.
Whitehall just about doing enough in the middle to keep a hold of possession. Now it's with Eddie Moran taking them forward. Hand passes, looking for the run to his left hand side of Adam McDermott, but and a Fianna player there to win possession back for the men heading for the result here tonight. Ryan down on the far side plays that one forward as far as Conor McHugh. McHugh coming in from the wide area, looking for another score here. Perhaps McHugh, they've got runners left, right and centre. One of them there was tearing through the middle, but the ball cut out just about by Whitehall. Aaron Byrne was making some really good ground there, and had the ball gone to hand was through on goal. Instead it works its way forward now to Cormac Costello for Whitehall, playing this one into the evening sky. Good ball it is too, well taken, and good mark as well inside in that full forward line. Johnny Cooper was going across to try and win it for Fianna. What a chance for Whitehall now as we head towards the final moments of this encounter. And this one from Dara Ryan popped over the bar. Good score, brings their tally to 11 points, but Fianna out in front on 118. And in fact that was the number 21 that scored that one, Jordan Leonard, wearing number 21 inside in that full forward line. Ball out to the far side of the field, where Fianna go on the attack once again, looking to cap off this impressive opening round display with a couple of more scores. McHugh inside in that full forward line now, out over there on the right hand side. Fianna making some good ground here now. Ryan is looking for the pass across the goal and might just get it. Well, it's gathered by the goalkeeper Stephen Lawless. Fianna looking for the goal on that occasion. Away come Whitehall, and they survive on the counter now. McDermott with some good hands there to gather possession and keep them moving forward. Fianna getting players back, but Whitehall haven't got too many bodies up in an attacking position here. They'd flooded a lot back to try and defend that goal chance. Here's Costello. He's looking up for a foot pass forward. Has to keep a hold of possession. Goes round the challenge of Alistair Fitzgerald. That's a great ball in over the top now, and now they might get their goal when it just squirts away, but now the chance might still be there for Whitehall. Can they find the goal? No, they can't. Scramble defending from Fianna. Well, Jordan Leonard had found his way in around the back, but Fianna doing just about everything there to stop the ball going over the line.
Yeah, I think maybe in fairness to Jordan, I think he might have just seen the goalkeeper or thought goal chance and just took his eye off the ball at the wrong time, and then he was swallowed up. Great defended by Johnny Cooper then in the end. They're
still going for goal here, Whitehall. Coming forward, was that a foot block on the part of Johnny Cooper? I think that's what the referee is signalling. He just was halting the progress of Eddie Moran, and free in is the decision of Darren Delaney. Does Costello go for goal here?
Absolutely. He might pop it over the bar, but yeah, would you take a chance? You probably would.
Let's see what he's going to do. Costello here does go for goal, tries to get it underneath the crossbar, but over it goes, and there's the full-time whistle, and it's all over here at Parnell Park, and it's Fianna who get off to a winning start in the go-ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship. They've won here on a scoreline of Fianna 118, Whitehall 12 points. Your overall assessment of that match, Coleman?
Yeah, disappointing second half from Fianna. Whitehall, probably stood up gamely in the second half, given that they were going to struggle with the deficit that was there at half time. It was that second quarter of the first half that won the game for Fianna. They managed to get a bit of a gallop on just before the water break, and then immediately after the water break added scores onto that as well, to finish at half time at 15 points to 6, and that was a huge advantage going into the second half. It was always going to be difficult for Whitehall from there. Opportunity from the penalty from Cormac Costello maybe to have narrowed the gap would have been just 6 points at that time. But even at that, it always looked like Na Fianna had enough in their locker to try and see it out as a result. A lot of good performances for them. Certainly Conor McHugh, played particularly well. James Dorman was excellent. Dara Kennedy, I thought throughout before he was taken off, was brilliant too. I know Lee Gannon had come back, so they had almost created space for them. But it was really great work by Kennedy throughout. So Whitehall stuck to the task manfully, but after half time it was always going to be difficult for them to get back into the game. Because of that lead that Whitehall had. Probably overly reliant on Cormac Costello. That one of the passes that we mentioned into Jordan Flynn there, where there was a goal opportunity, probably unlucky maybe just to take his eye off it or consider the goal before he had actually won the ball or secured possession. But as mentioned, Na Fianna took off a couple of guys, but on the likes of Aaron Byrne, O'Leary as well, we see catching for a free there that ultimately yielded his second yellow card for David Worley. But through and through, Na Fianna just stronger up front, better ball better movement up front, and obviously the goal then caps it off. And again, probably at times they held on to the ball a little bit too much out the field, didn't give opportunity for their full forward line, and particularly David Quinn, who showed time and time again to get those scores. But look, Na Fianna will walk away this evening very happy. They've opened the door to their account. If you just look at it here, he's almost thinking, I have the ball, I'll step left and stick it in the net, and then he gets swallowed up. And great depending on Johnny Cooper there to strip the ball from Na Fianna, come away from it. So they'd be delighted to move forward into game 2. Whitehall be maybe disappointed with that second quarter of the first half, but they did very well, particularly in the second half defensively on Na Fianna, so can take a lot of heart from maybe their second half performance, despite the fact that they walk out of here without a win, unfortunately.
OK, Coleman, thank you very much indeed. But it's Na Fianna off to a winning start in Group 1 of the Go Ahead Dublin Senior Football Championship. They've beaten Whitehall here in their opening round encounter this evening at Parnell Park. Don't forget, from 8:15 we've got another game for you here on Dubs TV. That's the meeting in Group 3 of Ballymun Kickham's and Thomas Davis. That one throws in at 8:15, and we'll be back for full coverage of that match throughout the course of the evening very shortly here on Dubs TV. But for now, we leave you with a full-time score from Group 1 of Na Fianna 118, Whitehall Colmcille 12 points.